1980 sci-fi movie condemned as indecent. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity.
Feels good to be back in the saddle again.
Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity, directed by Ken Dixon and starring Elizabeth Kaitan, Cindy Beale, and Brink Stevens. Slave Girls plot. In the future, two slaves in a distant galaxy escape prison and crash land on a strange planet. They meet Zed, whose hospitality attempts to hide the fact that they are being hunted for sport. As you might have noticed from the plot description, Slave Girls is a takeoff of the classic story and film The Most Dangerous Game from 1932, about a psychotic big game hunter who deliberately strands a luxury yacht on a remote island and begins to hunt its passengers for sport. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity was condemned as indecent on the floor of the U.S. Senate by Senator Jesse Helms in 1992. Senator Helms cited a case in which some of his constituents had accidentally stumbled onto the movie while flipping through cable channels as justification for amendments to the Cable Act of 1992. Helms wanted to force cable operators to block quote-unquote indecent programming unless customers specifically asked for it in writing. Needless to say, the amendment was struck down by a U.S. federal court in 1993, and the decision was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1996. Slave Girls delivers the goods. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity is a mix of action, drama, and comedy, and features partial female nudity, restraint, simulated lovemaking, and mild violence. The film was made to be a mainstream B-movie, despite its low production budget. However, the scene depicting Daria and Rick engaged in passionate lovemaking, with some female nudity, although genitalia is not shown, is part of the character development process prior to Rick's disappearance, is intentionally done for comedic value in the same style as some scenes in adult movies at the time. What's in a name? As the story goes, Slave Girls Beyond Infinity was given the green light and fully funded based upon the title alone. While this is not the first time a film has been funded based upon its title, it is a rare occurrence, and the folks at Urban Classics, the ultra-low-budget offshoot of Charles Band's Empire International Pictures, deserves a huge thumbs up for this alone. It is also important to note that this was the first film produced by Urban Classics. Slave Girl Elizabeth Kaitan. Actress Elizabeth Kaitan, who is fondly remembered for her role as Robin in Friday the 13th, The New Blood, said her car broke down and her friend gave her a ride, but had to drop off equipment at a production studio first. There, one of the producers of the movie saw her and asked her to audition. Kaitan declined when she heard the title. He ran into her again in a restaurant a few days later and asked her again. She read the part of the script and thought it was quote-unquote cute, so she auditioned. They cast her in the second lead role, but moved her into the lead role after they fired Ginger Lynn, who wasn't fitting the role at all. Ginger snapped. Speaking of Ginger Lynn, a well-known star of adult films of the 70s and 80s, was initially cast in the lead role of Daria, but was fired after 3 days of shooting when director Ken Dixon could not get any usable scenes out of her. Lynn did find her way into some legit B-movies in the 80s and 90s, including such flicks as Dr. Alien, which also stars Elizabeth Kaitan, Satan's Storybook from 1989, and Buried Alive from later in the same year. Sounds familiar? The music at the start of Slave Girls is nearly identical to the Klingon theme from the beginning of Star Trek the Motion Picture, although I don't believe that Paramount ever sued Urban Classics over it. Slave Girls and Creepazoids. The movie played as part of a double bill with Creepazoids in select markets in the fall of 1987. Creepazoids is another 80s B-movie cult flick starring the luscious Linnea Quigley, who definitely has no problem with nudity in the film. Complete with hot nude babes, some gore, and a B-movie creature, I'll probably do a video on Creepazoids in the near future. Schleffert Strikes Again. Slave Girls is also part of the German Schleffert series. The show was aired on April 1st, 2022 on German TV station Tele 5. Schleffert is a German abbreviation for Die schlimmsten Filme aller Zeiten. Say that 5 times fast, which means the worst films ever, apparently. In that series, 2 hosts present the whole flick and make fun of it throughout the movie, much like Mystery Science Theater 3000. In other words, a couple of yucks that didn't have the talent to make their own films, so they're making fun of other ones. Ken Dixon's last feature film. Filmmaker Ken Dixon, also known for The Erotic Adventures of Robinson Crusoe from 1976 and Zombie-thon from 1986, directed Slave Girls in 1987, which was his last feature film. I hope you enjoyed this look at Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. As always, please like and subscribe. Thank you.